The H3 podcast is begging for a defamation lawsuit from Andrew Tate. Today,
I think Tate should sue him. I think they should sue Ethan for what he posts on Twitter. Ethan is literally on Twitter. I don't know if he says the same shit on his show. He's literally on Twitter saying shit like, oh yeah, like he like is a sex trafficker, rapist, blah blah blah, like a whole bunch of stuff that like I think pretty plainly he was cleared of. He got charged with. Actually, I don't even know if he got charged. I think it was just investigated. I don't think he got charged with anything. Jeez.
Today, we're going to cover all of the juicy details. Andrew isn't banned, he's in every H3 video. H3 has gone on the offensive against the most hated man on the planet.
Ultimately, what he advocates is for violence against women.
Yes.
Criticism against other creators is important and essential for creating the best environment for all, but we're going to analyze why H3 has stepped over the line and should be punished for it. On April 8th, 2022, Ethan began his attack on Andrew Tate while interviewing Brittany Broski.
So scary, actually.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
He's actually a sex trafficker. That's epic.
Yeah.
No, literally, this dude is like a deep-rooted misogynist. Like, scary.
His claims weren't completely unfounded. Romania's Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism said the raid on the Tate's house was part of an investigation that began after a woman was reported to be held at the house against...
You, Sneeko, and Myron would make a podcast and call it SMD. Good one.
Her will. As the probe continued, it escalated to include other crimes. 5 days later, Ethan included another clip about Andrew Tate and what would become a reoccurring topic on his podcasts.
Let's talk about our boy Cobra Tate.
Cobra.
We had such a fun time making fun of this guy.
Making jokes about someone as polarizing as Andrew Tate is innocent at what makes YouTube fun, but Ethan also became very comfortable calling him a criminal.
But they're obviously very bad dudes. They literally kidnap people. They're criminals.
I don't follow Andrew Tate, so I'm certainly not defending any of his rants in this video, but I think it's important to call out Ethan's behavior as
Kind of your reasons, but why do you specifically consider Keppel's an online terrorist? I think she's a terrorist in the metaphorical sense, in that she's trying to weaponize entire communities to like destroy internet shit, like bring people down by targeting their ISPs, engaging in DDoS and all that shit. But I also think she's a literal terrorist, and that she is like posting addresses of servers in a war zone, saying that that server is supporting the enemy country, and seems pretty implicitly calling people to go and bomb the servers. That, I think, is like about as close to a literal terrorist as you can be without her like bombing it herself. Or them bombing, without her bombing it herself. Bombing the servers herself.
crossing the line. It gets worse.
Also, what's interesting about my money is that I made it by not human trafficking.
That's a reach? Who said that? Bye.
People, so that's a bonus for me, I think.
On Tuesday, April 27, a spokesperson for the Romanian policy agency added that no one has been charged or arrested.
She got Nick Rikita a second strike on YouTube. Yeah, Nick is kind of going the way of the Kiwi farms. He's being way too extreme. He needs to chill hardcore. Also, he won his debate against Duncan, but only because that Duncan guy is a fucking moron. The Duncan guy was so dumb, but Nick trying to do that whole, I just said she goes up on the wall. I didn't say I wanted her to die or anything. That was some of the dumbest line of argumentation I've ever heard in my life. But that Duncan guy is too stupid to argue against anything, so.
Yet in the case, but that the investigation is ongoing.
Is Myron really as intense off camera as he's on camera? He seems relentless to women. He's polite off camera to everybody. He's a very, very, very driven dude. That dude is like in another zone in terms of like drive. He's like very, very, very committed to everything he does. I have a lot of respect for that guy.
Video was streamed on May 2nd, 2022, after the release of the news article stating no one had been convicted, yet Ethan's words indicate the Tates had been. To date, Ethan and the H3 podcast have talked about Andrew Tate in at least 22 separate podcasts. For a crew so interested in silencing him,
22.
They sure have given him a lot of free marketing. Ethan tweeted, "Dear free speech champions that defended Andrew Tate, tell me what you think about this. I just got a cease and desist letter from Andrew Tate. He demands I stop talking about him. Thoughts?" I think this brings up an important conversation around free speech, lawsuits, and where the line is drawn between YouTube commentary for laughs and defamation.
Yeah, so here's the expectation of what Cobra Tate does, and here's the reality. He's actually on the school bus.
Oh, no.
He like I said, he grooms, he gets them young, and just like a model scout, for his webcam thing.
Where does the line get drawn between colorful, funny commentary for humor and defamation of character? Because that clip to
Do you think Tate could successfully sue Ethan? Would the actual malice standard be applicable here? I think he could get him on the accusing him of being an actual trafficker and everything. These types of jokes about him being a pedophile or whatever, I don't know what this guy's about to say. I don't think those would even come close to qualifying or hitting under the actual malice standard, considering that Tate has literally talked about like wanting to fuck 18-year-olds shit. I don't think it's even close. But the stuff about calling him literally a sex trafficker and shit over and over and over again when he's literally not, or at least has no convictions, is, I think, would be really hard to defend in my opinion. But
to me, crossed the line. Saying he grooms kids to become sex workers in his business is not exactly just an opinion. Even if you hate Andrew Tate, I hope that you want to live in a world where someone can't make baseless criminal accusations to this extent against you without paying a penalty. Freedom of speech is a principle that supports the freedom of an individual or a community to articulate their opinions and ideas without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction. I can post videos about a bad experience at a restaurant stating my opinion why I thought the food tasted poorly, but I can't start making false criminal accusations about the chef and why the food will cause cancer if your kids eat it. Defamation is the communication of a false statement that harms the reputation of another. There is no such thing as a false opinion or idea. However, there can be a false fact, and these are not protected under the First Amendment.
I don't understand that. They're like, no, they kidnapped us and forced us into prostitution. They're like, okay, cool, well, you know, go have a fun time, guys.
At the time of this clip, the news was fresh.
why is libel easier to prove in the US than the UK? Seems weird considering the freedom of speech is always flipped. No, what? Libel is far easier to prove in the United Kingdom.
And the investigation was underway, which allows for a lot more leniency in the determination of facts. On August 25th, 2022, I happened to stumble on this video of Tim Dillon as a guest on the H3 podcast discussing Andrew Tate.
If you take into context also that he's done sex trafficking, does it change your opinion?
Well, listen, 100% if he's doing sex trafficking, well, then that's...
He is.
Notice how they make the claim that it is a known fact that Andrew Tate is a human trafficker. He has not been convicted of a crime, therefore it is not a statement of fact. Therefore, what they are saying is defamatory. A day prior, Andrew released a 73-minute video which includes a detailed account of the accusations surrounding the trafficking story.
I do not like false accusations of criminal activity. That's another thing that I really do not like.
The following day, H3 released a stream titled Andrew Tate Cries and Begs for Forgiveness. Ethan Enters the Metaverse After Dark number 81, where they react to Tate's final message video.
I guess it's not even necessarily a supercut. It's there's some parts that are relevant to us that
I was thinking for
All right, well, 3 minutes, that's about all I can stomach of this.
I was watching their video, just curious what they had to say, until this next clip played and I nearly lost my mind.
recently rebuilt an entire orphanage because there's an orphanage problem in Romania. I did this.
They didn't build an orphanage. Shut up. The Tate Foundation? That's probably just a funnel for sex trafficking.
Bro, really? You don't even try to verify the claim?
Sounds like something the FBI should look into.
Yeah.
For real.
This man has an orphanage?
Okay.
Can we please alert the authorities?
Making me nervous.
I was disgusted to hear how they interpreted this situation. Do you understand how insane your mind has to be to hear that someone privately had an orphanage and he's using it to commit heinous crimes against children? Assuming Tate can prove that his orphanage is not being used for the crimes alleged by Ethan, I think Ethan should be held liable for significant damages.
Messages of thank
I
yous
literally
from the
was toxic years ago, and I won't do this again.
Unban me from the Discord. Oh no, yeah, banned from the Discord.
children and the woman who's running it. I did this months ago, before anybody disliked me. I didn't even tell anybody. I just rebuilt an orphanage and didn't use it for positive PR, didn't try and put it on the internet and get a good spin from it, didn't try to get likes.
What upset me just as much is that H3 didn't even have the respect to watch his entire video. They watched a curated 3-minute edit that cut out everything important, and then they accused him of criminal behavior.
I find it very hypocritical when these hate mobs come and say I'm a bad person, when I'm the one who's out here spending his money and time trying to help the world, and all they're doing is telling their followers to insult me on my Instagram page. Which one of those two things has a genuinely positive effect on humanity?
This type of behavior by H3 is disgusting. I like them, but I don't agree with the way they're handling this. I don't want to live in a world where someone can make such insane defamatory remarks that millions of people see and not face any repercussions.
All right, well, 3 minutes, that's about all I can stomach of this.
Additionally, if you're going to ruin someone's reputation, at least have the decency to do 1 hour's worth of research.
My house was raided by police under accusations that a woman was being held kidnapped.
In a defamation lawsuit, the defendant is found liable if there is malice and there's a complete disregard of the truth. If Ethan were to get sued, he would have to provide proof as to why he came to the conclusion that Tate is a human trafficker, along with all of his other claims like grooming children like he was R. Kelly, because he and Gila have been stating it as fact. In Tate's final message video, he shared the camera footage of the police investigation and claimed the accusations were false.
Turned up and investigated as
from
they
Wikipedia
should.
on defamation. Public figures must show that they were defamed with actual malice. In other words, they must show that the person who defamed them made the false statement knowing it was false, or with reckless disregard for the truth.
Yes, it's called the actual malice standard. It comes from the New York Times v. Sullivan case. But I think that actual malice is pretty easy to prove here. No, hold on. You guys are misinterpreting this incorrectly. Or in a way, you made me come from YouTube. This isn't the standard for actual malice for celebrities. H3 would have to know for a fact he wasn't a sex trafficker to fall under the statute? No, you're wrong. He knows that there isn't a conviction here, and he's acting with reckless disregard for the truth. If it was something he said in passing, like, oh, isn't he like a sex trafficker or something? That could be one thing, but he's done like 30 fucking videos on Andrew Tate. He knows there's no conviction there. He absolutely knows there's not a conviction there. I think that malice could be proven here. I think you could actually do it. Like,
they found out that it was completely false. That nobody was kidnapped, nobody was held against their will. I was not charged, I was not released on bail. I have no criminal charges in Romania, England, America, any country on the planet. I have no accusations against me for hurting women. And people are still on the internet saying, he's a human trafficker, the Romanian police are trying to get him in trouble for human trafficking. That's not true.
Ethan is absolutely liable for defamation damages if Andrew decides to sue. Until further evidence or reporting comes out, the H3 podcast has shown a complete disregard of the truth. Ethan then wrote a tweet that included defamatory remarks towards Andrew. Whether you like Tate or not is completely besides the point. This is a really important matter because we should all want to live in an environment where if someone makes false, heinous criminal accusations against someone, then they should face adequate consequences.
And I've said this many times, but people continue to ignore it and continue to purport the lie, because that's how the internet works, right? They continue to just keep pushing the lie because it gets more clicks, or because they personally don't like me and they want to use it as an excuse to pretend I'm a bad person.
I don't know. Listen, what he's doing, if it's human trafficking, 100%, that's
There's
it.
no if.
That's it. I know nothing about that.
And you know the last thing my grandfather said to me before you kick the bucket. Grandson, watch how far I can kick this bucket.
Police would have me in jail, because they are a nation, a European Union nation, with a strong legal system, and they would lock me up. They have not done that, because I am completely and utterly innocent. They investigated as they should, and came to the correct conclusion that there's nobody here, and this was a false call, a false alarm.
Well, he also does like his whole Hustler University is on like a pyramid scheme.
Oh my God, you run a pyramid scheme, dude!
Operating a pyramid scheme is illegal and is a felony, which you could argue is another false criminal accusation made by Hila. I made a video detailing why HU isn't a pyramid scheme. It wasn't that complicated to find out with just the minimum amount of effort. When you're a defendant in a defamation lawsuit, you need to present evidence why you made defamatory statements. What was your source? How reliable do you consider that source? And what evidence do you have to justify your claims? H3 never joined Hustlers University. They don't have any sources. They haven't interviewed one victim of this alleged pyramid scheme, even though it would be millions of views. They have all the incentives in the world to interview all these victims of Andrew Tate's pyramid schemes and his other behavior, but haven't. Their only proof for the HU being a pyramid scheme is some people had an affiliate link, just like every other product every creator promotes.
It's worth noting, first of all, they put a 24-hour deadline on this to remove all offending content.
Andrew hasn't officially sued, but I'm fascinated to see if he does. H3 has won a couple of defamation lawsuits already, but I'm very curious to see them fight this case. It feels like H3 has plenty of ammo with the numerous videos Tate has produced sharing his extreme opinions, but none of that really matters in this specific case. They've essentially stated he's a criminal of certain acts without evidence, and the case would revolve around their ability to prove he's a convicted criminal of the specific crimes they're alleging he committed.
Anyone that was following this knows that.
Okay, this is not true. So this guy, the YouTuber in question here, doesn't know about the actual malice standard. There's a higher bar for accusing public, or if you're a public figure, there's a higher bar when you're accusing other people of defamation. You don't have to actually prove that the statement was wrong. You have to prove that they were acting in malice when they were making incorrect statements, which is unique to the United States.
Andrew Tate has been crying about his right to free speech.
Ethan, this is not hard to comprehend. Freedom of speech does not include defamation.
I was taken from my house. They came into my house at 5 p.m. They did a forensic search, as they should. At 8 p.m., the search concluded. They took me from my house at 8 p.m. for paperwork at the police station, and by 9:21, I was back home. And that was the end of it. Nothing's happened since. No woman's come forward. Nobody's hurt. Nothing.
I am the free speech king, and I declare that here and now.
I'm pretty disappointed to hear that Ethan doesn't understand the concept of the First Amendment not protecting against defamation. It's not exactly complicated. H3 has featured or mentioned Andrew Tate in at least 22 separate episodes. I'm not a member of the Manosphere Red Pill world, so certainly don't take this video as a ringing endorsement of Andrew Tate's reputation, but I think it's important that we as creators maintain some decency towards each other in regards to criminal accusations. If Andrew's attorney is competent, I think this is a pretty easy case to win.
I am your king, your ruler, the one true God of free speech.
Tate plays this character of the biggest alpha male on the planet, and sending a cease and desist is basically a threat. Ethan is clearly showing his indifference to this threat, which means that the ball is back in Tate's court. If Tate doesn't sue, then Ethan ultimately won this battle and would have more ammo to clown on Tate. But if Tate does sue, then we're in for a fireworks show, and I can't wait to see what gets found in Discovery. Thanks for watching.